How's it going, folks? It's Justin Farrell from HalseyNews.com here. I'm with Joseph Rudy Rullo, running for governor of New Jersey. The primaries are tomorrow night, and this is going to be our town hall. How you doing there, Joe?
Good, Justin. I just want to first thank Halsey News for taking your time this evening. We were going to have our Facebook Live like we're having, but it was great that you wanted to come and you wanted to facilitate it. And I look forward to speaking to your viewers. I know that you have a massive podcast after this that we're also going to do, and I really look forward to that. And thank you again for stopping by my house.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. So I'm going to come at you with a few of questions we have. First, let's talk about Atlantic City. That's a city in a lot of shambles. I mean, it's taken over by the state and everything. What are you going to do about Atlantic City?
As you know, I've been running since 2015. So our issue went back to where Atlantic City, there was a proposed North Jersey casinos. And what I said in the very beginning of that, and I thought it was, looking back, it was pretty wise, is that economically, that there was going to be a correction, that the supplies, on supply side, that the casinos began to struggle because there was such an enormous amount of supply. And all of a sudden, New Jersey was going to rush to North Jersey casinos, which would have increased the supply and would have put Atlantic City in an even tighter bound. But that wasn't even what was worrying me. It was all the subsidies that they were going to do for these North Jersey casinos, and they would have ended up as revels. So I was the only candidate that was running since 2015 who actually ran a campaign against the North Jersey casinos. And a majority of New Jersey voted with me and agreed with me because they understood that the supply wasn't there anymore. In other words, the supply went down. And look at Borgata. We were just there on Friday evening. And we had, a great, with King Arthur, with WIBG at the Borgata. It was crowded and it was booming. And it was on a Thursday night. And, things are back to normal in a lot of the casinos because the supply has corrected itself. And that's a great thing. There's other ideas that I have in Atlantic City. I do want to get rid of the pilot program. I think Atlantic City should have been able to file bankruptcy if it wanted to, so that they can make decisive decisions on liquidations and different things like that to get themselves back on track. Additionally, I would absolutely try to reverse the murder rate that's going on in Atlantic City. Look at Booker. I mean, Booker basically left Newark in the highest murder rate in the whole entire nation. And what's absolutely crazy is that Atlantic City is really heading towards that. And just like consumer confidence, people want to have confidence in their safety. And what I want to do is I want to have the state police, in my capacity, help us out to make Atlantic City so people are confident that they're not going to get their heads blown off in Atlantic City. I think that's really important. The other thing, too, is bring more family fun. For example, I don't agree with, bringing subsidies back for, making it a Hollywood there, but off-Broadway, for example, that's non-equity. You're not dealing with unions. And off-Broadway brings a lot of money into the city. And I think that would be a great thing to do in Atlantic City.
Awesome. All right. So on the subject of, defending yourself, what are you going to do for the Second Amendment in New Jersey? I know you're a fan of concealed carry. You're going to push for that?
Yeah, I mean, this is an issue that I'm very passionate about. I've been involved, like I said, running since 2015, but you have all the opponents now that are all trying to either avoid the issue altogether or they're being laughed at because some of their stances are just so out of control. For example, waiting 10 years to get carry permit after you get a regular permit, that's unacceptable to me. The Second Amendment is non-negotiable. There should not be any justifiable need. The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, and basically the Constitution is not being followed in the state of New Jersey, and it's ridiculous. In 2013, during the Sandy Hook shootings, I went to fight the railroading. The liberals were railroading through Second Amendment destroying legislation, and it made me really mad that they were exploiting those deaths. And what I did is I went to the State House with NJ2AS. It was the largest rally ever held in New Jersey for Second Amendment. And I got up in 2013, and at the time in 2013, people thought I was crazy. I got up and said, you know what? The solution to shooters, the solution to murderers and to terrorists is for us to be able to conceal and carry. The solution to rape for women is for them to carry and conceal. And it's an important thing. And I got up in 2013. You can go to my website, rullo2017.com, and you go to issues and you scroll. When you hit issues, it comes down and there's a gun pledge. Watch the video. All my opponents can talk about all they want. In 2013, I was there for New Jersey, and I fought for the Second Amendment. I'll tell you another thing. Christie at the time, he didn't show up at the rally. All the other Republicans, they hid with their tail between their legs. I'm the only one who, in September, went to the hearing to loosen justifiable need. No other candidate went except for me.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine having a governor who's been fighting for concealed carry since 2013, and versus these other guys? They're just pasting and cutting
unheard of in New Jersey.
I'm saying, because they know that they're trying to get votes.
That is unheard. Yeah, no one is doing that in New Jersey. You're the only one. I mean, this is one of the strictest gun laws in the nation, New Jersey.
It is, and another thing is, like, for example, in Tuckerton or in Little Egg, where I live, the turnaround is great. If you want to get a basic permit, I've heard of them getting it in a week or two. But, you go somewhere like Jackson.
Oh, yeah, it's like 6 months or more.
6 months. And, as governor, I will direct not only my attorney general, but work with the state police and also with all the police departments and not making them the bad guys, because there's a law. It's 30 days. And we will do what we need to do on a state level to help them process these permits if they need be help to do that, to follow the Constitution and to follow the rules.
Good stuff, good stuff. This is an issue not too many people talk about. I find interesting. There's a big ideological divide between like the more urban northern Jersey and more rural southern Jersey. How would you unite the state as a governor and be able to cater to both those needs?
Well, I think first of all, there's several things, and I'm really excited about it. Justin, I have committed as governor that I am going to, in my 4-year term, I'm going to stay for 1 week in every single county, and I'm not going to pick a particular spot in that county. I'm going to stay where all the people are staying, and that'll be in the inner cities or wherever it needs to be. And I want people to have access to me, and I think that's the most important thing, is having people have access to the governor. There's so many different issues that our campaign has focused on that touch everybody from the top to the bottom. I'm a sole proprietor. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have had a business for 3 decades. And everybody, in every area should be able to have a business. But with this economy and the way it is, we're number one in all the wrong things. People are leaving New Jersey. We have the highest property taxes, the highest cost for roads and bridges. Everybody's leaving New Jersey. And the other thing, too, is it's corrupt. And people are afraid. And, listen, I'm not rich. I live a very modest and humble lifestyle. I have a 2003 truck. And every year I make sure that I take care of it. I wax it. I fix, where I have rust spots, because I don't want to go buy a brand new car. And the same thing, with, I don't go on luxurious vacations. I understand the working man. I understand that, hey, how can I help? I'm going to veto every tax that comes in front of me. Taxes hurt. Taxes are most of the time, a lot of times, they are progressive, but they're also regressive too. And it affects everybody, and they're proportional too at times. And everybody's affected by taxes. And as governor, I want to make sure too that, especially, you look at some of the inner city areas where they have, 10 superintendents, and they have all these assistant superintendents and all these vice principals. We need to give these kids an education. And, not only saving money so that the taxpayers' property taxes go down, but also to refocus the money for the kids so that they have books and so that they have teachers and the ratios are better. As governor, I don't know if you realize this, but I'm proposing to consolidate all the spending at all of the 577 school districts. And also, what I mean is, when they purchase things, everybody purchases the same amount or whatever they buy together, and it lowers the cost and it increases their purchasing power. The other thing, too, is I want to limit our superintendents to 1 per county. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, it's insane.
If you add to that, I'm proposing business administrators, assistant superintendents, in like Middletown, New Jersey, they have 8 vice principals in one
You don't
school.
need that.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I mean, as Retaco taught us nothing, the Retaco scandal, right?
And you know that I was the only Republican in Ocean County who stood up against Michael Retaco 2 weeks before he was going to be arrested. I said that he should step down, and if the school board doesn't have him step down, I said step down or get out of the way. And I also asked for his name to be taken off of that Retaco Center. I think that the superintendents, we have 577 school districts, and we have way too many. We could save hundreds of millions of dollars if you add that to the business administrators and everything else. Look at all the tax assessors that we have that are all individual in every town, and there's not uniform tax assessors, which is ridiculous.
Speaking of schools and, draining the swamp and whatnot, what are your plans about Lakewood and its urban sprawl and expansion there and a lot of the corruption that goes on in that area?
Well, I recently came out, about, I guess it was like maybe a week ago, Shore News broke the story, and I was utterly disturbed that, to find out that, Kim Guindano basically was, completely and totally, ordained as the candidate, and there's going to be, 10,000 people voting for her just because one person says that this is the person to vote for, and it's all about cutting deals. I mean, look, the transportation money, there's a rumor that the transportation money is going to basically stop in Lakewood, and then when it comes to Toms River on Route 9, they're not going to finish it.
Oh my
that was
Lord.
a deal probably cut by Singer, to pass the gas tax.
Yeah, but he's beholden to the political machine of Lakewood.
Yes.
And they also had that busing deal with the state was funding the busing, and they gave it to the Lakewood School Board, who then in turn gave it to private groups to, spread out among their friends. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
You know what's fascinating, Justin, is I think we've uncovered why Joseph Rudy Rullo is not necessarily the candidate for the bosses. For example, there's a boss that you have to go there and kiss a ring in Lakewood. And I didn't do it because if I did that, I would be basically subjected to promises that I would have to uphold for votes and money or whatever they give you, donations. And the same thing happens with, and I'm going to go across the board for everything, different political groups, different, gun groups or whatever. I don't go and meet with a party boss or a group leader and then ask for him to push me on the group. I actually went to the groups, met with all the people, and now I have a bunch of group leaders that are all flocking around, Jack Chittarelli or Kim Guindano. There's a reason why, because I won't cut a deal with them. And I refuse to because I love people in New Jersey. I'm not doing this because I want to do something for myself. In fact, I told this to people, the last 90 days, try waking up and, having to go through this rigorous campaign. I mean, on a daily basis, you have press interviews all day long. You have events that I'm in Little Lake Harbor, almost all the way down South Jersey. I've had events in Sussex, in Morris County that are 2.5, 3 hours away. That's a 6-hour round trip, and this has been every day. And I've been running for 2 solid years.
We appreciate the hard work. We got some questions coming in from people on Facebook Live.
Great.
Carol Foster asked, what about tenure? We need to get rid of bad teachers.
Absolutely. I spoke to, out of respect for the teachers who I love, and I value their jobs, and I myself, for continuing ed at Ocean County College, I designed their an acting class. I also designed a landscape design class, and I actually designed a lot of an energy program there where people do continuing ed for adults. And a teacher's job is the most important job, and police officers as well. And I have been so behind them in all of my stances. And I feel that there are such great teachers out there, and there are certain teachers that aren't good and they shouldn't have tenure, period. And I told that to the NJEA, and they did not endorse me or Kim or Jack, but what was interesting is they didn't endorse any of us. So they liked a lot of my answers, but that was one they did not like. They even said it. They didn't like that I was not going to be rank and file and rubber stamped and let any teacher have tenure. And I agree with that 100%, that you can't promote teachers that aren't doing a good job when there's awesome ones out there.
Oh yeah, I've had plenty of great teachers.
I can think of I have 2 or 3 people that I've been lifelong friends with, and I smile every day when I see the pictures, and I don't want to say their names on camera, but basically, the pictures that they have with the little kids, and they're drawing and they're doing their first alphabet and they're spelling bee, and they're great. I want to get rid of the park testing, which is $15 million for the preparation, 25 for the actual test every year. Get rid of that.
It's an awful test.
Yeah, I want to get rid of Common Core, which I think is really important to do. We need to start challenging these Abbott districts to be held accountable. And I do support Doherty's fair funding formula, but most importantly, we need we need to consolidate all the spending, all the superintendents, and also the purchasing power, increase it, and cut the line so that when we do go for this fair funding formula, these townships that are getting aid are able to balance themselves out.
Okay. I got more questions on here.
Sure.
Term limits for state legislatures.
I absolutely support term limits. As I said to many, I will not run for re-election if I'm not able to lower property taxes in the first term. And also, I promise that, and I will veto every tax. So if I don't veto a tax, I will resign. I will only have one term remaining. I will only have one term. And additionally, I feel confident that if we win this on tomorrow, and it's going to be an upset, and I think that the people are going to send a message in November, because I will defeat Murphy easily.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I will. And when I do, I think that a lot of the legislatures, there's going to be a sweet spot, a honeymoon when I first start, and I'm going to get a lot done. And if I can get enough done, I would even consider, after the first term, even letting my lieutenant governor benefit from that and move on from there. I have just run for only one reason, to fix New Jersey. And if I can fix New Jersey in 4 years, that's what I would do. But yeah, I think term limits, maybe 3 terms for an assemblyman and maybe 2 for a senator, since they have 4 years and 2.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're looking. Trump's wanted to propose that for Congress as well. That was one of his promises. So we'll see what happens with that.
I support it for Congress. Look at John Runyon. He only served 2 terms.
Yeah. Okay, we got some more questions coming on here from Periscope. Our Facebook Live. What about the veterans? What are you going to do for the veterans?
Well,
especially with medical and stuff.
Everyone knows. I say every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day that it makes me so mad when I see politicians and they're doing their photo ops. To me, Veterans Day and Memorial Day is every single day. And I've been fighting for veterans for well over decades, and I have been fighting on issues. For example, they were giving them a 10% disability to start out with when they first got out, and they would not question that. Right away, they would get a check. Well, to get back into that process is a lot of work. And basically what they have to do is they have to appeal that, and that is a big, big deal. And I worked with several veterans with that, and I was able to get one veteran actually paid on his back pay of $60,000. And I love veterans. They made our country great, and they gave us freedom, prosperity, happiness. And I want to have no veterans left behind in my administration, so that we remember veterans all the time. My lieutenant governor is going to specifically be in charge of that all the time, so that we know that we're always focusing on it. While Donald Trump is president and I'm governor, our veterans will not be neglected and will not be, basically not get hospital care when illegal immigrants are in our hospitals. And I've said this on the campaign trail, that I believe that I want to work with the hospitals and negotiate with the state aid as well, that I want our veterans to be able to go into any hospital, so that they don't have to worry about, taking off work and having to go all the way to the Oranges to, and if they're from here, that's, a 2-hour drive, which is ridiculous. And the hospitals don't accept VA care. I want them to in New Jersey, and I will work to do that in New Jersey. I also believe that our veterans are awesome. And you look at like the Gulf War and Iraq and Afghanistan, they can take a desert and logistically create, airfields and roads and bridges and infrastructure. I would like to, get rid of all these fat cats that are on the transportation and all of these contracts that they have and all these ridiculous earmark contracts, and, put our veterans to work with that, and also have our veterans pair up with our police departments to prepare for the new era that we have with terrorism, because it's not a matter of if terrorism is going to hit New Jersey, because it already has.
Yes.
And I was in Seaside
when that
occurred. I was actually in Berkeley Township at a picnic, and when I found out that happened, it was a 5K run, and
for Marines.
I immediately went to Seaside, and I comforted a couple different Marines that were in that, and I also went on Facebook Live to tell people, come to Seaside. Don't let these people win. And I will tell you, I was there with Lieutenant Governor Guindano, and she got up to give a speech, and I left to go to the danger. And the veterans do that all the time, and we need to make sure that we provide tender, loving care, a center where New Jersey they can go. And instead of being number one in people leaving, we'll be number one in veterans coming to our state, because we're that good.
Awesome. So what are you going to do about the pension funds?
That's a great question. I am the only candidate that has provided a sustainable and exciting proposal that is immediate, not a Ponzi scheme, not this number has to equal this number, and if this doesn't work out, we can't do it. I will immediately redirect the $1.4 billion going to brokerage firms in New York City right now, yes, to do a transaction, a simple transaction, and those funds aren't even producing any yield of interest, and it's not even making any money.
Such a scam.
For what they're doing. So what I would do is I would eliminate that $1.4 billion and fire all the brokerage houses that are re-electing Sweeney. Christie, when he ran for president, he tapped that. I'm sure Guindano's getting funds right now from that. And coincidentally, Christie paid $1.4 billion into the pension, and he made a big deal about it. Well, what is the chances of that $1.4 billion being the same number Christie paid into it? Probably some kind of a deal cut. Oh, we'll get the fees here. But the thing is, those fees were only $100 billion a year when the Democrats were in office, and now it's $700 billion a year. So every 2 years, I could take $1.4 billion and put it in as a pension payment. I could stabilize property taxes right on the spot, and I could start to make our pension system whole again. I could reverse that we're the number one in the most underfunded pension system and number one in the most credit downgrades, because that's what they judge you with the credit downgrades. But people ask, like, how are we going to do the pension system then? Well, we have an inside investment division with people with licenses that were basically told you can't do this because we're letting brokerage firms do it, and they're still there, and they're not doing anything. They're probably just overseeing them. They're not doing the exact work. They're probably just overseeing them. Let them do it, and let's save $1.4 billion and make a pension payment. But better yet, when we legalize recreational marijuana, I don't trust these bums. Okay, these scammers in the legislature. I'm not going to allow them to take the revenues and to put it into the budget so that they can balance a budget that they increased spending in. What I want to do is I want to decrease the amount of debt that's in the pension and make pension payments with it, even make overage pension payments with it. And also I want to earmark a portion of it to the TTF, which I'm sure we'll discuss.
Awesome. You're just hitting all these specifics that no other candidates even want to talk about. This is nothing they would even think of.
We can turn around New Jersey in 2 or 3 years if we implement this. I mean, within the 4th year, there would not even be any purpose of being even to be governor at that point.
So someone's asking, and I want to ask, but where do you stand on sanctuary cities?
Well, as most people know, I have been, very fierce critic of sanctuary cities, of illegal immigration.
Unlike Kim Guardano.
Well, yeah. And I mean, look back in 2012 when I ran for U.S. Senate. You Google Joseph Rudy Rullo, East Jersey Tea Party, and watch that video. I sounded like Donald Trump in 2012. I said deport them. I said build a wall. And the bottom line is, in New Jersey, try like me, owning a landscape design company, and basically you have a competitor who has a license from the country of Mexico with a local Toms River address, which means he has no insurance, he has no legitimate credentials, he has no liability insurance, he has all illegals working for him, and he's illegal. And his prices are like 80% lower. And he drove me out of a particular area. You
can't compete with that. It's not fair to regular citizens who I'm best friends with people who have landscaping businesses, and
I'm
it's killing them.
I'm going to be able to go to the public and say, listen, I am not a racist. I am, someone who just wants a fair and level playing field for everyone. And someone shouldn't be able to cross a border, come here, and not pay taxes or do anything, and basically not have the insurances. Look, I pay liability insurance, employee comp, payroll taxes. The list goes on and on and on and on, and it's just so unfair, and it frustrates me. And I was recently the only candidate about 2 months ago who showed up to the sanctuary city hearing in Red Bank to oppose the sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities I would not fund sanctuary cities, and I would make it a criminal act by an elected official if they proposed to do that, because they're not following the New Jersey Constitution. They're illegal. They shouldn't be here.
All right. For those just joining us, I'm Justin from Halsey News, and we're interviewing Joey Rullo, who's a candidate for governor of New Jersey. The primaries are tomorrow. Okay, we got more questions. This is a huge one because it's affecting everyone. Yeah, everyone knows someone with this heroin epidemic. What are you going to do about it, and how are you going to help, you know?
Well, I mean, as many of my viewers know, I came out years ago, and I said that the heroin epidemic began when the Oxycontins hit the black market. And these Oxycontins, they were getting them through a prescription, and let's say they were getting $300 a month. They were keeping $50 for themselves for their pain or whatever they had, or their addiction. They were selling 250 of them. And these things go for, on the street, $40 to $80 a pop, just depending on how many milligrams that they are. Well, the heroin dealers got really smart and said, wow, these pills are 40 to 80 bucks. It's the same exact substance that's in heroin. Why don't we get people addicted to these pills at $40 to $80, and then they sell these bags of heroin for $5, and the person thinks that the heroin is cheap. Well, at $5 a bag, if they're buying 20, 30 a day, you know, let's say they're buying 30 a day, that's $150 a day, and if you have thousands of people that are addicted to it, I've been saying that since day one. We need more beds in New Jersey. There's not enough beds. There's not enough help for addicts. You know, this has been a very targeted thing. I think that, you know, New Jersey was sleeping behind the wheel for several years. I did in 2014, I did a PSA, public service announcement. I am an actor on television. I did it for free. And I basically reached out and said that, you know, exactly what I'm saying is that the kids are actually snorting these pills, which is like basically powdered heroin when you crush these pills. And they're not able to afford the $40 to $80 a pill. So what they do is they turn around and they get heroin, and they get addicted to heroin, which are already addicted to the pills. So, you know, the big thing is we have to hold these doctors responsible who are writing out fake scripts, which they've been doing a pretty good job at. TV commercials are great and everything for bringing awareness, but it's not really going to solve the problem. What I want to do is I want to work with the legislature to identify heroin as a poisonous substance. Once we're able to do that and make it a poisonous substance, then anyone who is caught dealing that heroin basically knows that they're dealing something that can kill somebody because it's been classified as a poison. They should be charged for murder, period. Attempted murder, and then if the person dies, murder.
I think they just started trying to charge people with that to heroin deaths. Hopefully that'll change something. I mean,
it's a poison.
Yes,
like
it is. It really is.
Marijuana is a weed that, you know, medically is a gift from God, and I think that people, you know, it's a weed. I mean, it's a flower. It depends on, you see some weeds are beautiful. Okay?
And it's going to help a lot of the veterans with PTSD as well.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you look at, you know, Jack Ciattarelli, who I'm running against, and, you know, he voted a couple months ago against PTSD marijuana for veterans. And that is true.
How can you do that with a conscience? I can't believe that.
He opposed recreational marijuana. Now he's saying that he's for decriminalization. But decriminalization, he wants it so if you get caught with a joint 2 times, you get charged with a DWI and have your car taken away.
Oh my Lord.
That's ridiculous. What I want to do is get rid of the $200 fee on. There's a $200 startup fee. It's like a club card that the state charges if you go on to medicinal marijuana. I want to eliminate that. I want to eliminate the sales tax that's on it as well, because it's not fair, because OxyContin doesn't require a $200 sign-up fee or a sales tax. And recreational marijuana is going to be a boon in our economy, not only for the wholesalers, but the farmers. The garden state will boom, and only New Jersey farmers I will allow to have, if I have the ability, allow them only to grow the marijuana for New Jersey. And I think that would be very exciting. And look at the hemp industry as well. That's
great, yeah. Too. I mean, the Constitution is written on hemp.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you that
it's cheaper than paper. I mean, trees for paper. It's such a, yeah, it'd be great. There'd be so much advance in technology and medicine.
It's economically friendly and everything like that. And I mean, marijuana revenue, the thing I disagree with the Democrats is they want to start the tax out at 7% and then cap it out at 25% after 5 years. No way. Okay, I don't trust the government with that.
Nope.
What I would propose is to start it out at 3% and to cap it at sales tax. That's it. And if the sales tax goes down, so will the marijuana sales tax. And that's the way it should go, because guess what? They're so greedy, and this is going to hit home to all the viewers out there, is that they're so greedy that they want to tax them 25% and drive up the price so high that, again, you're going to have people on the black market again. And it's going to be cheaper to buy it off the streets than it is off of these, regulated, government-regulated businesses, storefronts and wholesale and the whole entire gamut. I am so open-minded that I believe that people with cancer, people that have PTSD that are veterans, they should, down the road, I would also look into licensing seeds for particular medicinal marijuana purposes. And we're not talking about right away, once we're able to square up, get the sales tax away, the fees, get the doctor prices lower, because we have, right now, Christie sent a very bad message saying he didn't like marijuana, so a lot of doctors wouldn't prescribe. But now they're toning people down to 30 milligrams of OxyContin and telling them you have a choice, either 30 milligrams of OxyContin or you got to go on to the marijuana program, which is exciting because that's a heck of a lot better than being on those opiates. They're killing
Which
you.
Then lead to the heroin epidemic we just talked about. Yep. Yeah, very good, very good. What are you going to do about the awful roads throughout New Jersey? And I mean, roads that cost the most to fix in New Jersey, more than per mile than any other state in the country.
Well, I'm the only person running for governor who stood up against the 12-mile road in Ocean County. It went from basically Ortley Beach down to Point Pleasant. It was $27 million per mile. And one of the trucks had Hess on it, and it was all over the trucks from Hess. And I noticed that Christie's fundraiser, when he was running for president, one of the hosts of that fundraiser was Hess.
Oh, well, what are the odds?
So that's the thing. And you know what? Driving in New Jersey on some of the roads, like, for example, Route 70, it's like driving off-road. It's so bad. And the amount of money that we're putting out, it's ridiculous. We're not getting a return on our money. So what I want to do, and it's a very comprehensive proposition, one is I want to combine all the purchasing powers from the Parkway, the Turnpike, the South Jersey Transportation. You do this, and on the asphalt, on the equipment, on everything that has to do with road infrastructure, etc., and drive the prices down. So we're going to have a massive amount of savings. Additionally, what I want to do is fire all of the redundant supervisors. Yes, when you see 5 guys with a pen and paper supervising one guy digging a hole, we need more people digging a hole. We need more people building bridges. We don't need a bunch of supervisors that are getting appointed because they're friends with somebody. We're talking about massive savings here. Then we're going to earmark a portion of the marijuana proceeds, like we are with the pension, to the Transportation Trust Fund. So with that savings, what I'm proposing to do is to start phasing out the tolls on the Parkway so that we can, again, instead of people leaving New Jersey, people are going to come to New Jersey. That's what we need.
Very, very good. We got Peter Boykin of Gates for Trump joined the Periscope, and he was enjoying everything you said. So that's just good news. See, everyone's loving your stuff. So President Trump is on social media a lot. You're on social media a lot. If you become governor, will you continue to use social media to talk directly to the people?
Absolutely. Justin, you were saying it before. I'm a very social person, and I like to be with people. And when I'm governor, I'll be going to Great Adventure like all the rest of the people, and like I do now. I'll be clamming. I'll be trout fishing. I'll be saltwater fishing for striped bass. My life isn't going to change.
Wrestling alligators.
Yeah, maybe wrestle some alligators. I mean, I love animals. I do a show called Aquariums Across the United States, and I did that free to provide a service to people that are disabled and seniors and people with low incomes who couldn't go to the aquariums all over the country. And I televised it on YouTube, and it's awesome. And that's what I like to do. I like to be with people. I'm doing this because I'm doing something bigger than myself. I'm trying to help fix the state of New Jersey and drain this swamp and trying.
You're pretty awesome with very specific issues. Here's a good one from Jim Humbert. He said, "What will you do about off-road recreational vehicles like RTVs or whatever? I mean, the little dirt bikes and all those kind of things that everyone quads and all that. There's nowhere to drive them around here.
Great
I've noticed
question,
that.
Jim. Thank you. I have been an advocate for family fun, drug-free fun, and this state, these poor kids in this state a lot of times have nothing to do. I came out for skateboard parks for kids back in 1997, and people thought it was crazy. But guess what? I created a revolution. And before you knew it, in Ocean County, they had skate parks all over the place. They said it couldn't be done, but they saw the amount of people that wanted it. With off-road, the biggest thing with that is, again, I'd rather families be together and doing that than doing drugs. But the other thing is, how fair is it that somebody who buys an off-road vehicle, whether it be an ATV, a four-wheeler, a motorcycle, they pay sales tax on $20,000, that's $1,400. They pay a registration of $100 every year, and then their insurance. But yet, the state of New Jersey triple taxes them, and they don't get any representation for their taxation. So what I would do as governor is, instead of letting people go to Pennsylvania, leave our state to go to Pennsylvania and spend dollars, and to, for tourism, we have areas in New Jersey that we would find and that we can start businesses in New Jersey, not the state, but that people that want to start businesses, we would try to work to make sure that occurs in this state, period.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to start a business in New Jersey with all the regulations and everything.
And I think it's really important because, off-road vehicle people are very, they're stewards of the land. They're very good patriotic Americans. And look at the Second Amendment issue that I'm for with, guns. Look at marijuana issue, and look at the vapor issue, where I'm against, them trying to tax the vapor industry out of business because they don't want somebody, because they want, Chantix, the drug that people commit suicide on. They want them to be on that drug, or they want them to be on some kind of other anti-smoking. They want to get rid of the flavors on vapor. But this has never been about, to me, going after certain issues. It's a liberty thing. And I've been for the off-road vehicles. I've been for the vapor, people that have a choice with vapor, with marijuana, and with our right to carry in New Jersey. There's a pattern here, and we need a governor. This is how we're going to prevent. We're number one in the worst restricted liberties in the nation, and that's also causing people to leave and causing us to be number one in the whole entire United States. With people leaving. People are going to Florida, people are going to Pennsylvania or Arizona because they're more lenient with, not only carry laws, but all the other laws as well. This state is a dictatorship, and as governor, I will do everything in my power in executive authority to enforce the Constitution of the United States and of New Jersey.
Someone was asking, I'm not too familiar on the subject, so I apologize if I don't get this right, but they were talking about in Sussex County, the New Jersey JJC officers are working without a contract for about 3 years now. What will you do to help them?
What's the abbreviation? Ask them, and then we'll get back to the question.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't know every abbreviation in New Jersey, so.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that one. That's why I wasn't too sure. What was another? Oh, what about the new catch and release laws with the bail reform and stuff? That criminals are just. What are we gonna do about that?
I almost feel as if it's almost hard to believe. Right here we got again. We're talking about, the gas tax I want to repeal, and I came out against the gas tax in 2014 when nobody was talking about it. In fact, candidates weren't even running for 2 or 3 more years from that point. Same thing with bail reform. I came out against bail reform almost 2 years ago. I saw how bad it was going to be. It's financially disastrous. It's dangerous. It's crazy overtime. It's a hiring hack system for judges. They're basically these politicians. They make out like bandits when they get reelected. They try to put in their buddies that are judges. That's a perk. That's what they call a perk. And this bail reform, there's like pedophile in Little Egg Harbor who got out with no bail. There's a guy that got caught with like a ton of heroin with illegal gun cash. Okay, you have to be kidding me. These are violent offenders. Okay, that are being let back out. And as governor, McKenna has a bill out there, and I would even tweak it to make it even better. So that we in New Jersey go back to law and order again. That bail reform sucks, and I will scrap it on day one, and I will do everything in my power using the judiciary, executive process, and legislative, whatever I have to do.
Yeah, I took a class to get my certificate in financial crimes investigation. So it's all police officers and then captains and stuff, and they were talking about how this bail reform is just awful. I mean, you can't do anything about these drug dealers that are back on the streets. So the only way to stop them is to like seize their assets. But
what's great?
you have to have really good standing to be able to be able to seize their assets. So you have to work extra hard for that. And in the meantime, people are dying of heroin and all these other crimes they could be committing.
All the politicians, they sat around and said nothing until 4 months ago. And here, like with the gas tax, I talked about it 2 years ago. The carry conceal 10 years ago. And with immigration, illegal immigration 10 years ago. It wasn't cool back then. But I saw in my heart, and I'm wearing on my sleeve, that these issues were important. So what I did, and it was really cool, is that I was reached out to by one of the largest organizations in the United States that's fighting against this bail reform. And they wanted to have me speak in Louisiana. They were having a huge conference. And they invited me. I was so humbled and, proud that they asked me. But at the time, I was in between with the you have to file for governor, and I filed, but you have expense reports and different things like that. So I didn't feel comfortable being flown and having a free hotel room and perks that would have gone along with it. And if I could have afforded it, I would have done it myself, and it would have been a done deal. But I wasn't raising money yet. So, and that says a lot about me, is that I avoid conflicts. Like if somebody wants to donate me money and they want to do it because they want good, honest government and they want to fix New Jersey, then I absolutely will take that contribution. But if somebody in the same sentence says, well, I expect this, they're not getting it. And then I say, have a nice day. I'm not interested in talking to you anymore. And it stinks because they're embarrassed and they get mad at you and they probably will never talk to you again. Because that's the way business is done in New Jersey. And I've seen it over and over and over again.
Awesome. So
and by the way, anybody out there, go to Rullo2017.com. And if you haven't donated yet, please do, because we want to run ads all day tomorrow.
I'm doing that tonight as soon as I get home. Send me some money.
If you go to Rullo2017.com, donate whatever you can afford. We have another day of pounding of ads, and anything you donate will go directly into sponsored ads, and you'll see them all over Facebook, which is how we've gotten to the point we have.
All right, so you were talking about the marijuana legalization. Now, one aspect that no one really talks about is how are police going to test for if you're under the influence when driving of the marijuana.
I love the question because you're being thorough, and I have been fighting for police officers for decades. I'm a common man. My friends aren't people that are politicians necessarily. I hang out with cops. I hang out with firemen, teachers, janitors, construction workers, landscapers like myself. I'm a common guy, and police officers, deserve to be in a position where they're safe and they're protecting the roads to be safe. So with that being said, it's going to open up a Pandora's box, because right now there's people driving around on opiates that probably should not be driving around, and everybody would agree with that. That, if you're, for example, if somebody can take, if they don't have a tolerance and they're taking 20 milligrams of Oxycontin and they're on 150 and they're driving and they get into an accident, well, basically there's no test for that. Well, there has to be, and there is one that is coming out. It's got to be a quantitative test, and we got to make sure that people are not driving to the point where they're unable to drive and they're impaired. And I say the same thing with alcohol as well, period.
All right, what do you think about the death penalty?
I am completely for the death penalty.
All right. I think we were having some problems on the Facebook Live, so the questions there kind of stopped rolling in. We got one about healthcare. Are you a supporter of Trump's healthcare bill and buying over state lines insurance?
Absolutely. So what I want to do, especially in New Jersey, is that we need to open up to not just the one or two that are buddy, with the status quo. We need to open it up so and this goes the same thing for the pension system too, for the health and benefits for the teachers and employees. We need to open up the benefits to all over the United States. That will drive down the prices for competitive prices. MacArthur just passed a bill, that gives an option for a governor to be able to choose, different portions of that bill. The thing is, and I want to be very honest, is that right now that has not even basically gotten out of committee, and that has not passed the Senate and the Congress. So the bill itself isn't even really in effect yet. So really, we don't know what we're looking at this point. But what I want to do for New Jersey is make sure that, Obamacare is killing people, that are businesses. They can't even afford to be a business anymore.
All right. Would you accept the lieutenant governor position if it was offered to you?
No.
Yeah, because you don't want to. You want to be able to work with her or him or whoever gets it or something. But you're too much of a fireball who actually wants to drain the swamp.
I mean, honestly, I'm running for governor, and I basically, I have distinct differences with, we'll go through some of the differences. I mean, I don't really want to promote my opponents, but there's some distinct differences that would be pretty difficult. There's maybe one candidate that I would be able to do that for, but I don't think the rest.
All right. So I mean, I think we lost some connection on Facebook. Not too many people asking any questions over here, so we'll just kind of wrap it up. If you want to say a little bit more the night before the primaries and
just
sign off.
Make sure everybody out there, make sure that you email every single contact that you have. Make sure that you text every contact that you have. Make sure that you call every contact that you have. If you could do it tonight, that would be great, because then you could follow up again tomorrow and to make sure that they actually voted. Make sure you share on Facebook. Instant message on Facebook every person that you're close to and tell them to vote tomorrow. You can make a difference in this race. I mean, I believe that we're going to have an upset tomorrow. I'm confident.
I believe it too.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the momentum.
There's a lot of momentum, and our outreach on Facebook is almost 500,000 in 5 days. That's incredible. And, that's just 5 days. And we're peaking in this campaign. We've resonated because people are sick and tired, like me. I decided to run because I'm sick and tired of being number one in all the wrong things. I'm sick and tired of being number one in all the wrong things. We're number one in the highest property taxes. We're number one in the highest cost for roads and bridges. We're number one in the most people leaving the state. We're number one in the worst restricted liberties. We're number one in the worst underfunded pension system. We're number one in the worst, the most credit downgrades. We're number one in foreclosures. This is bad. And these ideas that I'm having are going to change the pattern. In other words, I'm trying to make it so we have, as a business, like it should be run in New Jersey, retention. We don't want our people leaving. That's the first step, is let's stop people from leaving so that there's not going to be any taxes in New Jersey. And we're going to, for example, fees in motor vehicles and all these other different organizations, marriage fees, anything you can even think of. It's just accepted that there's inflation and those prices go up. No way. People's inflation, people aren't even making more money than they were yesterday. So they need to make sure that they have their bottom lines. Look at some of these departments in transportation, for example. I heard that in New Jersey Transit, they have budgets. And if they can't spend their money, they want to make sure they spend everything so that they get the same amount the following year. Does that make sense that they go out and spend all that money? Come up with some kind of a system or program that if they don't spend all the money, that they're rewarded for it, so that they'll have the ability, if they need to have it upped again, but they don't use it, that would be great. That's what we need to do. But like I said, go to Rullo2017.com, donate what you can afford. We're going to be running ads tomorrow. It's such an awesome thing that what all of you have done. I mean, we get excited. We have line 1 in so many different counties. We have line 2 in very many counties.
It says drain the swamp right underneath your name.
It says drain the swamp right underneath me. You can't miss Joseph Rudy Rullo, Joseph R. Rullo on the ballot. And I look forward to our victory. And I want to thank Halsey News and Justin Farrell for coming out here today, because this is great. It was a surprise. We were going to just do a mellow Facebook town hall meeting, but it was
went
great
on for an hour and had this
facilitate.
awesome conversation. Yeah, thank you, Joey. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. And you were